So, what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is coin centric. It is the most popular and valuable cryptocurrency in the world today. It was created in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto, an anonymous person or group. Uh, if we don't know who this is, but we do know that it is an anonymous service and has no central registry, meaning that nobody controls the source of information or flow in the Bitcoin network. Here's a white paper that was published in 2009. As you can see from the abstract, it was designed to be a peer-to-peer version of electronic cash to send money between two parties without a financial institution, so no middleman or third parties. And the reason for this is that there was a lot of concerns during the Great Recession in 2008 about the central banks, about the big banks that were too big to fail, about the monetary policies. So in 2009, when the first Bitcoin was mined, we had what we call as the Genesis block. This code had a message inside of the block that said the Times on January 3rd, 2009. The chancellor is on the brink of second bailout for the banks, and Satoshi felt that this was very alarming. It was published on by the British newspaper at that period of time, and is seen as proof that this was the first Bitcoin mine. But the reason this was alarming is that Bitcoin was universal. It was designed to be outside or detached from monetary or fiscal policies. No government, no banks, nobody has central control. And every time one of these governments would create more either bailouts or increase the debt loads, they would actually destabilize their own currency, maybe even devalue it. So the euro, the dollar, the Japanese yen, all of these economic currencies, or these currencies are evolved around the economic systems, are dependent on the government. So Satoshi at the moment of time decided that we needed to have a new currency that was native to the internet, that was unique, didn't have any of the claims of past debts or any of the past governments that are deciding how our currency is valued. So Bitcoin is unique in these points. But let me break down more additional factors of why Bitcoin itself is important. First, anyone can download the entire blockchain and validate the blocks, so we can see every single transaction that's happened since the Genesis block on January 3rd. And we can validate this ourselves. If we have a full node, which anybody can run, has internet access, and could buy a computer server or the hardware necessary, it's cheap compared to either starting a technology company or starting up a government. You can just plug in, validate, mine, and verify transactions on chain. And this was important and makes Bitcoin unique because it increases the network security. And every time a new node is added to the network, it actually increases the level of decentralization. So what are the benefits of Bitcoin? First, it's immutable. It's a ledger of truth, so you can find all the transactions that happened in the past. They cannot be reversed or changed. It's distributed, so there's no central point of failure. Once you buy a Bitcoin, you're not reliant on some other party to determine, to do a transaction. You just plug into the network, and everyone in the network at this point has verified that you are a owner of one Bitcoin or one or more Bitcoins, or however you do transactions on the network. It's uncensorable, so it's not controlled by any one party. So if you think about either China, that's very controlling of its currency and economic environment, or even the US, that determines the money flow between banks inside and outside of the country as the financial capital of the world, Bitcoin is uncensorable, so it's censorship resistant. It doesn't have anybody controlling the party because there's just too many people plugged into the systems. Nobody has majority control. It's pseudonymous, so cryptographic identities allow for accountability. You don't need to know who the party is on the other side. These addresses that are on chain, while they're public, they can be an unidentifiable person, but to be plugged into the system, your transactions are pure. It's all based on math, and the transactions are transparent as well. And the last is the democratic form of Bitcoin, decisions are made through consensus, so it doesn't require trust on a single party. All of the computers are trusting each other based on math. So that's how we design a trustless system. You plug into the network, the computers and the servers are doing all the work, and you don't have to rely on a specific person. You don't have to rely on a bank. You don't have to rely on the government to make the best decision for you. These decisions are made based on consensus.